Crisco Kidd Block Party.
Looking like a model. Con, what's up, baby?
What's up, big dog? How you feeling, man?
Man, it's been years, dog. Good to see you.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Now, the last time we spoke, I mean, it's been a couple years, and I think maybe right at the time you were developing all your solar initiatives. And let's fast forward, I don't know, 7, 8, 9 years from then, and you're back in the past year putting out music. I know on Globalization, we rocking with the joints from El Negrito.
El Negrito, baby.
El Negrito, hooking up with Pitbull and Anuel, so many different artists. You're the global superstar here and jumping in and out between your lanes. And now you got a new project called Ain't No Peace. And it's so good to hear you back. And during this project, I could hear that passion to where we fell in love on that first project, bro. You're singing in there, dog. The hunger, the pain is in there.
Yeah, I kind of brought it back to album number 1. You know, I think I escaped that essence that everybody, you know, fell in love with. You know, when you come into the business, man, you come into it with a pure heart. You come into it with pure intentions. And then after a while, it becomes about the business. It becomes about the money. And then the content also gets spoiled in the process of it, you know? But as I started getting into more of my philanthropy stuff, getting back into understanding the person and why I got into the music business in the first place, and then all of this stuff that are happening around us, you know, with all these big, you know, you could say social controversies, especially with the equality aspect, black and brown people, how they're being treated here in America.
Right.
It pushed me to have to do some relevant content for it. So this Ain't No Peace is really based around all the, you know, the social things that's happening around us. And I felt the best way to speak on it without responding publicly was through my music. And that's how this
It's like let the music speak for itself. You feel me?
1,000%. Because music reaches people in ways that other things don't. You know, music just touch your emotions, touch your spirit. And it really opens up a conversation piece within your soul that you can't have with just, you know, a press release or things like it. It's different. It's totally different how it touches you. And I feel like the best way to make people kind of recognize that struggle, that understanding of why we feel the way we feel is through the music. You know what I'm saying?
Right. You know, I went through the track list. I went through the project last night, man. And the reason I brought up is like, you got that sound in you that we haven't heard in a minute, man. And like you said, we brought it back to the roots. We brought it back to 2003. And so, and Ain't No Peace in the whole project. What was the top thing or maybe the top 2 things that you really wanted to convey through your message on the project?
It's like, especially for Ain't No Peace, you're hearing a surrounding of emotion, but mostly anger.
Right.
And it's what do we have to do? How many times do we have to prove ourselves, you know, to be treated equally? How many times we have to march and protest for peace and we never get it? So it makes you realize there ain't no peace, man. Like it's never been no peace. Like it could be camouflaged and packaged to look like peace, but it's not no peace because no one's doing anything about it. Or the people that could do something about it aren't moving on it and don't care because in their minds, they're comfortable. You know, they don't care how other people live. You know, between blacks and Hispanics, man, we have it the hardest here in America and we settle for it.
Right.
You know, because we're loving people by nature, we continue to take the beatings that we keep getting, man. And it's like, we fight for peace. We try to conversate for peace. We try to, you know, acknowledge the fact that peace needs to exist, but our voices are never being heard. It's at a point now where something has to be done about it.
Yeah. You know, one of the most impactful posts that I've seen on social media is that says, you know, Black Lives Matter is not about putting Black lives over everyone else. It's about creating equality amongst the people. And I think some people cannot fathom that. They don't understand that it's just about equality. Black and brown, let's just bring on the same playing level so everyone is treated consistently.
Right. And that's what it all boils down to, man. You know, and it's funny because Africa now has started to make that twist, starting to make that turn. In a way, it's a good way, but in a lot of ways, it's not going to be good for white people because when they come, the way they treat us on this side is apparently how people are starting to treat them on the other side. Like there's certain parts of South Africa where Black people are the most, you know, prominent. It's super, you know, they making all the decisions. They're the ones that's dominant, more richer. And then you go into the areas where there's poor and there's projects. There's all the white people. And it's like the tables completely turned.
Wow.
And it's ridiculous. Like,
that's crazy. Yeah.
Super crazy, because how blacks are being treated in America is how whites are being treated in South Africa to the point now. So, all the ones that used to be super rich and ran, South Africa with their apartheid are now living in these slums with no opportunities. They trying to find basic jobs and they can't get it because blacks get hired before they do. And it's so crazy, ironically twisted at that point, to where now it's almost like you feel sorry for them. But then because you've been through it, you know how that feels. You try to find yourself that medium to, to not feel good about that, even though that's something that they put upon themselves, because now it's like they've literally muscled their way into power. And I feel, kind of scared about African Americans now becoming and getting to that point where they line up with Hispanics and they say, you know what, we're going to muscle ourselves back into power. And when that day comes, it's going to be a sad day for America, because clearly, as you know, between black and brown people, when we set our mind to something, we always achieve it. We've always been smarter, always been stronger, and always had more courage. So the moment we decide to come as one and do that, it's going to be like, an apocalypse. And I'm afraid for that to happen before a conversation comes, before we can actually find a way to merge within each other's society without getting it to that point.
That's a very powerful point, because if we don't have the conversation now, right, it can change too fast and nobody's going to understand what really happened and not know how to move forward.
100%.
Wow, that's a very good point. Look, we got AKON hanging out with us. I want you to take over the whole hour. And what we're going to do, we're going to drop, we got 7 records to go throughout the hour. And let's start with the first one. Actually, I want to start with Ain't No Peace. Can we do that?
Man, we can start whatever you want to start with.
Let's do it, man. Introduce your joint, Con. Let's go.
Hey, this right here is Ain't No Peace. Our social matter and our social topic, and more than anything, our social matter for this day and time. Let's get into it.
Can I talk about fatherhood right quick?
Man, let's talk about fatherhood, man. This is why we in it. We do it.
Man, I started hella late. My son is 2 years old now, and it's just changed my perception on life. I know it's cliche, right. People say that, but to go through 30 plus years of my life and then all of a sudden have a child and understand what all the dads before me have been dealing with and understanding, right, and that passion, and that motivation, it really opened my eyes. And on Ain't No Peace, the record Letter to My Son. I just want you to touch on your motivation from Letter to My Son, because that's one of my favorites on your project, man.
Yeah, man, that record was super important for me to write, because back in the day, man, I used to, obviously we all ran the streets, and then when you run the streets, you did it in a more, honorable way, you naturally adopt a good relationship, and more than anything, a great reputation in the street. But that reputation, unfortunately, is like a bittersweet situation, because that reputation is often given to you by doing things that was illegal. And when your son grows up to see that his dad is respected by the street, and that seems to be the code right now, really cool, they want to grow up to be like you. And they don't realize that some people make it and some people are very lucky to get out. But 90% of people that's in the street, and that becomes a lifestyle for them, don't make it out. They either dead or they end up locked up before the whole the stream is over. So my thing is looking at your kids and watching him grow up to want to be like you, and taking the reputation of the street more so than the reputation of you coming out the street, the more, honorable reputation. And my thing to him is, listen, I don't need you back in these streets. I struggled, did all that for you, so you don't have to. That was the whole concept of this song, was to let him know that all that I did in these streets was basically so he would never have to experience that and have to be in the streets himself. So this song was really, dedication to all my kids growing up, especially all my boys. But I knew there'd be other like-minded fathers that's going through it right now, where, they had to do some crazy things to survive and support that child. And then, his heart's broken by watching him walk in the same footsteps that he never wanted his kid to walk into.
You know what? Let's do it now, man. AKON, introduce your record.
Yes, sir, man. This record's for all the fathers and the mothers, for that matter, that had to go through crazy times just to make sure their kids survive. This record's called Letter to My Son. Let's
jump to what's going on in Africa, man. You got so many different projects. You got your own currency. You done created a whole city, man. How did this project come together? Like, what were the pieces that put in play?
I give God all the praises for the blessings to be in a position to have my own city and eventually franchise it all throughout Africa. But it all started and concept came about when I started my energy company. And the energy company did so well. We're now a complete utility company in 16 countries throughout Africa, and utilizing those funds to be able to now create a more renewable, you can say energy distribution channel throughout the rest of the world. I want to start by building my own city, because through my city, I can use that as a model to be able to show the rest of Africa how we can energize every part of Africa in a more sustainable way, but then also build cities through it that gives them a more modern feel and utilize all of Africa's resources to build a future, like a future tomorrow, a renewable city. So the rest of the world can see how a renewable city can be built in Africa with every resource in Africa used in their own city without having to, export from outside to bring in anything. So it plays in multiple parts, but it's more so to uplift the future of what Africa needs to look like from an architectural standpoint as well, too.
Now, how does the currency come into play?
Well, the currency come into play is because when you come into the city, that's the currency that you'll use.
Okay.
To the city. So the idea is to utilize an alternative financial mechanism that they can use to trade while they're in the city, because everywhere you go, when you go into a certain country or a certain city, they have their own currency, right?
Right.
So I want to have its own currency as well. So you come in with your US dollar, you can trade your US dollar and trade it in for some AKOINs, and now AKOINs become your main source of spending. And then eventually, AKOIN being into this crypto, it's a cryptocurrency. It is going to be a global currency where you can use it anywhere in the world and be able to trade that around as you go around the world, especially for African diasporas that travel a lot and they carry in their local money that don't really have that much, you could say spending power. Now they can trade all that into AKOINs and be able to go to their local ATMs no matter where you're at in the world and trade it for your local currency there.
So when you bring it to America, because I understand AKON Lighting America, you're using solar power.
Right.
I noticed you're more in the East Coast. Are there plans to extend west?
Right.
And if so, when does the ball get rolling? Because in Phoenix, we have all this sun here that I'm running for mayor, and I wanted to have this conversation with you as well, not just for the music, but because you're creating sustainable cities. And I feel like when you have the fifth largest city in America, Phoenix, and we're looking for ways to become a more desert sustainable city, then we have to look at all the resources, because you have an individual teaming up with different partners as yourself being successful. Then why don't cities implement that same model? And I'm here to find those solutions. So Khan, can you speak on how maybe we can get that in Phoenix or other cities can jump on board?
No, Crisco, I think you'll make an amazing mayor, man, because you're already thinking way, beyond the box, and you're already thinking about renewable solutions for the future as we speak. Arizona is actually one of our biggest concentrated markets. We're working on, some things that's, obviously they're under NDA, so I can't really disclose the information.
Okay.
I'm working with a huge group there that's kind of controlling about 2 gigawatts worth of solar energy that they're working on over there. So we're working on partnering with them to do all the construction for it. We're currently also active in Texas as we speak now, and in the East Coast, as you mentioned. But the goal now is to really go real hard in Arizona, because we think that's going to be the future of, solar generation there. And believe it or not, Arizona alone, we can generate enough solar energy to be able to distribute it all throughout America. We can create grids big enough to be able to, power the whole United States in Arizona, because it has and enough sun to be able to do so. So that's going to be one of our major markets over there eventually. It's time now for us to start moving forward towards the future when it comes to energy.
Right. Now, is that for wind as well? Because I know they're working hand in hand.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, wind and sun go hand in hand. Wherever there's a lot of sun and there's a lot of space and land, wind is naturally going to follow. So wind is definitely a part of our overall structure and plan as well.
Word. All right, look, we got AKON hanging out with us. Let's jump into another record. You know what? We skipped over number one, Con. We can't forget about that New Life. We're talking about new solutions. We're talking about new ways of living. Can we give it to them, baby?
So New Life is the introduction, because clearly I'm a whole nother person today. I'm living a totally new life, and I wanted to introduce this EP with this record, because I wanted people to know that with time you change, you start putting God in your life, you put God in your heart, you make decisions for people, not just yourself, and you become a totally new person living a whole different life. And I wanted to give God the praise for that, and that was one of the reasons why I put Molly Music featured on it, because he's one of my artists that I signed 7 years ago, who's one of the biggest gospel artists in the United States right now from the standpoint of our generation and making music that don't feel like you're preaching. So I wanted to really put a record like this that kind of brought the spiritual substance in and blessed the whole album with it. So this is New Life right here, top of the EP of Ain't No Peace.
When I say we go back, I don't know if you remember, but I know I am definitely one of the people first in the country to play Locked Up back in the day, as well as Ghetto. Do you remember you came to New Mexico? You shot Ghetto. A lot of people don't know where you shot Ghetto still to this day. But there were parts of New Mexico in there. And we ended up having like an after party at one of my friends' house. Big shout out to Big Mike, man. And
what's up, Big Mike, man? You right.
Man, it's crazy that, you know, you run into artists throughout the years, and I've been in radio 21 years now, and just your humbleness with all the success. I mean, you've been an instrument in helping not just yourself, but so many other artists on your label throughout the decades. And the question is, how do you remain so grounded when you're doing so many things for so many different people? Obviously, the money accumulates, but you're just chilling on your balcony right now, Con. I mean, how do you remain so humble, man?
Man, you know, the way I look at it, the moment you realize you're just a vehicle, then humbleness is inevitable. Like, some people think it's all about them. You know, they start to realize or feel in their minds that all the work that they put in is because just the work you put in. I always feel like, you know, God plays a huge hand in everything that we do. We're all being used as an instrument to help him build this amazing world that he's created and keep balance within it. You know, and some things will move without your assistance, but a lot of things will need our assistance to keep it rolling and keep it, you know, even and, you know, playing field. More than anything, there's a lot of people that will need you. And I think God finds ways to utilize you to get to them, you know. So that's why when it comes to the philanthropy side of it, I always feel like it's a responsibility once you gain success. Because I think that success is a way of God putting his light on you and showing the world that you are one of the chosen ones. That's to help them, you know, proceed on whatever our purpose is on this life, you know. And everybody don't have this access. Everybody don't have the blessing to become super famous and everyone in the world knows you, and you're so influential to a lot of people. So I think those are gifts and tools that he gives us to be able to proceed with helping him achieve whatever goal he has on this earth for us. So I think once you become that, and that 100% rule is within you, humbleness is almost inevitable, because you start to realize it's not just about you no more. You know, so, you know, you kind of embrace everybody within your world, and it helps for a better environment for you to, you know, achieve whatever goal you're trying to achieve.
Right. And I'm going to keep it within the Humble family, because I can still text him to this day. If I need to call or get in touch with him, super quick, it happens. But Pitt, and
me and Pitt was cut off the same cloth, man. If we know each other, we would have swore we was born from the same mother and father, because we think exactly alike. I mean, we came into the game damn near around the same time. Our careers grew around the same time. I mean, from a global standpoint, we both got, you know, was traveling bumping heads with each other in the weirdest areas around in the world. And we always kept, you know, contact, always was there for each other. We don't do anything without consulting with each other. So he's like a real brother to me, man. Always kept his word, never changed ever. So he's a real model of what I would like to see the rest of the industry become, man, because some people, once they become successful, man, they get into their own head and you don't even recognize them anymore. But he's not one of those.
When you two team up for music, obviously the music is, you know, the conversation, what's happening, but what is the conversation off mic, the conversation when the camera's not rolling for the video, because you both are making huge things happen across the globe. You know, he's partnered up with, you know, like John Travolta doing different things. He's partnered up with Tony Robbins doing different things.
Right.
Who are you kind of partnering with to where now you guys have this mentorship to where you've learned and now you're passing on your information? What are some important things that you've learned along the way financially that you can spread, or your important seed that you want the world to know?
Well, the most important thing that I've learned along the way financially is that when you do something that the world needs, the money comes naturally. And it's to the point where now I don't make deals for a profit anymore, because I know if I do something that's people need, or I do something that is going to help a large generation of people, or something that I feel that I can bring to the world that necessarily isn't available, but helps people, it makes billions automatic, because you're helping billions of people. These are things that people need naturally that they can't survive without. So that's what made me say I want to only get into business, you know, with things that is going to help people. You know, you become a social entrepreneur and you start to understand that every time you bring something to the table that benefits people in general, it's going to be a no-brainer. And you don't have to think about the money side, because if people need it, they're going to utilize it, and they're going to pretty much buy it, or they're going to, find a way to, add it to their everyday life. And that becomes a great business in itself. But you feel good about making money that helps people. And then when you make plenty of it, you just take some of that money and give it back.
Ooh, I know that's right. You got to give back, man. You got to give back. Hey, is there one artist who has soaked up a lot of the information that you might consider a pupil? Like, I know more recently, some of the younger people that you've been working with, like 6ix9ine, did he ask you about any things on how to advance, not be so caught up in this camera and this lens being shown to the world, but actually, is there a business mind frame?
Yeah, I mean, even like prime example with Tekashi is actually a great example, because he's super, super smart. He's probably the most brilliant marketer I've ever met. He's taught me a lot just by sitting with him and being a part of his operation and helping him kind of reform his situation and better, kind of bring his image to the light in a more positive way, because he came under the regime of hanging around a lot of knuckleheads and people that wasn't there for him around for his best interest. And he took a huge hit, unfortunately not understanding how the game worked. But from a business standpoint, he's always, calling to consult, asking questions. Philanthropic is one of his major, when he wants to be one of his major achievements. Like, he wants to really be able to give a lot of the stuff that he makes to go back. As crazy as it may seem, because of the reputation in the past of what, he's been through. From what I know of him, he takes, his blessings and God super serious. He don't eat without praying first. He don't go to sleep without thanking God, surviving the day. Like, I think that's the reason why he's been so blessed. But I think it's a matter of time now where he understands the power that he has as an artistic and as an influencer, and start bringing it more towards a positive message as he moves forward, without creating such a controversial, competitive market that makes, some of his rival fans look at him a certain kind of way. But I think he's learning a lot as he goes, and he's learned from a lot of his mistakes. And I think it's time now that he starts to move in that direction, and hope that people just kind of see, the struggle that he has to deal with, and help consult him through it. Because sometimes when you're trying to change your life for the better and everybody's against you, it makes it harder, And I think with kids like him who's been through something, he wants to be able to express that guilt, that fault. And he wants to also be able to accept the fact that he did make some decisions.
Yeah,
but he wants to with his fans. And sometimes, you just got to go through it, take the punishment, and then just change your life as you go, and people to support you as you go.
So 2020 didn't really go the way anybody thought it was going to go. How are you going to close out the rest of the year? What's down the pipeline after Ain't No Peace? Ain't
No Peace is more of a social, piece of content that speaks on today. I feel like it was super important for us to put this kind of music out and put it out into the space while all this is happening. I really wanted to capitalize on that energy and let people know that these options don't exist. It could be better options if we just sit down and have a real conversation. And sometimes people haven't heard that side of the conversation. And I just felt like, from my personal experience, I can be able to, share that with some of the people that normally wouldn't listen to rap music, or people that listen to me that normally wouldn't listen to my peers. At least now they can hear it from my standpoint and get a better understanding of the life that we live every day, But coming behind this, top of the year, oh my goodness, I'm coming with the final major album, which is going to be the huge pop album. What
do you mean the final? Wait, what? Final
album of all the series.
Okay.
That's going to go super crazy, because that one, obviously, as you know, I did a partnership with BMG, who'll be distributing that record worldwide. So I'm going to have a huge machine behind us and everything on that one. So I'm super excited about where that album's going.
For sure. Well, you can bring it here anytime, man. I'm glad we finally got to talk again, bro. I'm so glad we got to talk.
So, you know it. Good seeing you, Chris.
I appreciate you, Con. Thank you. Much love, much success, as always. Ain't No Peace. And if you can, I'm going to need a little custom for the campaign, a little something for that.
You got my support 1,000%, bro. You got my support, man, because I know where your heart is, bro. And I know just from the long-standing time that we had, the way you accepted me and everyone else and helped to really groom real careers. So not only are you influential, but you understand how the future needs to work and merge within our cultures, man. That's super important, especially for Arizona.
Yeah, for sure, man. Hey, much love, Con. I love you, bro. Thank you so much.
You too, bro.